Hello, and welcome to another day of English 2. I'm your online teacher, Miss Bear. We have been studying the textile industry and really the fashion industry, kind of looking at how the textile industry influenced the current fashion industry and really looking at the ethics of it, specifically at Francis Lowell and his methods. And so we are continuing that today. You guys had a vocabulary quiz the last time we met and also had a great discussion. And I know that you did a fantastic job. So let's get started for today. Again, this is a Common Lit 360 unit. It is their unit 4. It's called The Fashion Industry, Past to Present. And our research question for this unit is as follows. Francis Cabot Lowell had a utopian vision for a factory that would make profits for the owners while also improving the lives of the workers. What was his vision? To what extent has his vision been realized since its inception? And today we are going to be looking at the vocabulary set 2. And you guys should have a printed out copy from your teacher that looks like this. And remember, we already did one activity set, and the activities are very similar for activity 2, but this is a fairly long unit with a lot of different texts and a lot of vocabulary. So we need to do more than one. So we are going to do very similar that we did at for the first set, and we're going to review like how we find those answers. But I'm going to go over that a little bit quicker today than I normally do, because you should by now know the best ways to find the best definition for this vocabulary in context, because we've done it so many times. And this is just a reminder, vocabulary list 2, activity 1. And the items that you will need is, again, a copy of your packet as well as a pencil. And so the slideshow that I'm going to go through really quickly, again, is the same thing that you're accustomed to seeing. You've seen it before, but you will see it again today. So how do we do this activity, and why do we do this activity? So without a dictionary, how do we figure out what words mean when we encounter them that we don't know? The best way is to use context clues, and we try to guess at the meaning and based on the clues that were given. Sometimes this works, and sometimes it takes a little bit more context than it does in others. So for this particular activity, let's look through the word advocate together. And you will see your very first number 1 word says advocate. So what I want you to do is just look at that photograph. And I want you to think before you just shout out, but I do need one volunteer to describe what you see in this video, or I'm sorry, in this photo. Okay, so great job with your shout outs. Some of you had some great ideas. Now let's continue, and I want you to read the sentence that's below the caption, and I want you to think first, and then I need another volunteer to suggest a word or words that could be put in the place of that underlined word advocated. Great job. Now everybody needs to come up with another word that you think would work after reading the sentence at the top. That is the context. So what is your prediction for the word advocate or advocated? Great job. I saw the wheels in your brains turning, and I'm really excited for how you guys will complete the rest of this activity. So now I want you to independently, not with anybody else, I want you to go through the first activity for this second activity set, and I want you to make those predictions for those words. So now let's take some time, and I'm going to let you go through these vocabulary terms. Great job. Now you get an opportunity to work with a partner, and I want you to share your predictions and your ideas and your thoughts, and also maybe revise your response based on what you and your partner discuss. I am so proud. You guys stayed on task the whole time. And I know that sometimes you feel this sense of urgency, and I'm glad that you do because it makes you stay on task, and I do appreciate that more than you know. So now let's review. Let's talk about the definitions of these words, and remember that you should take your packet and you should revise those definitions and your ideas, write the correct definition in the place that it shows in that packet. Make sure you keep up with this because remember, you're going to do some extra activities as we go through the second half of this unit. So let's look at what these words will be. The word advocate means to speak or write in favor of something, to publicly support. The next word is agitate. It means to make someone nervous or stressed. The next word, atrocious, means extremely wicked or cruel. The next set, let's look at the word discipline. The word discipline is a set of rules controlling how one acts. The next word is endeavor, to try hard to do or achieve something. The next word is incentive. It is a thing that motivates one to do something. All right, great job. I hope you wrote those answers down. We have 4 more to go through, and then we will wrap up today's lesson and look at where we're going to move forward. All right, the next set is the word infernal. It means extremely unpleasant or hellish. Prevailing means widely accepted or believed. And the word strike. Now know that strike is one of those multiple meaning words, so make sure that when you come across the word strike that you do look at it in its entirety in context so that you know the right definition to choose. So for this, in our context, it is a form of organized protest in which a group of employees refuse to work until demands are met by the employer. And our last word is the word tyranny. It is cruel and unjust government or rule. So, how did you do with your vocabulary? Did you find the best definition? Were you able to find an appropriate substitute word? And what do we call those substitute words? That's right, somebody hollered it out. It's a synonym. Good job, not a cinnamon. I heard somebody say synonym. So cinnamon is the spice. A synonym is a word that is similar to the meaning of another word. So fantastic job. So where are we going with the rest of this? Well, you can look at your vocabulary pack and you can see that there are other activities, and some of these activities will be individual activities. Some of them you will have an opportunity to work with a partner. And we will probably not go over any more of them as a class like we did with Activity 1, but you have all of the proper definitions. We are going to read stories. We're going to read nonfiction texts that will use these words, and you might need to be reminded of them. So keep your activity pack handy so that you know when to pull it out and say, oh yeah, that's what that word means, or I need a synonym, and you can write that synonym in the margins of your text to help you remember the meaning of that word. And remember, every time we have an activity set, we will always have a vocabulary quiz in Common Lit. So be starting to practice the definitions of those words, and you'll do great on that test. That is all that I have for you today. Until next time, happy learning.